Welcome to another edition of Question and Answer with a Criminal Defense Attorney. My name is Mark Solomon, a defense attorney in Denver, Colorado, and today's question comes from a YouTube viewer asking about kidnapping. But before we get to that, don't forget to click like on this video and subscribe with a little bell next to it to be notified of future videos. So, what is kidnapping? And the answer to that is very, very serious. So let's look at that. First-degree kidnapping, or any kidnapping for that matter, has the key component of moving somebody against their will between one place and another. Okay, so with the intent, this is first-degree kidnapping, which is even more serious, but with the intent to force the victim to do any sort of hostage situation, like you're kidnapping somebody and moving them for ransom, which is subsection 1. In other words, you're taking them, moving them from one place to another, getting them to move from one place to another through some sort of force or coercion, or keeping them secret from somebody else. So in other words, you handcuff them to a tree in the middle of the woods so that nobody can find them because you're trying to get some money. You've just committed first-degree kidnapping, which is obviously very serious. It is a Class 1 felony if the person suffered bodily injury. Note, not serious bodily injury, but just bodily injury. So if you hurt them in any way, if they experience pain, that can be up to life imprisonment. If it is, if they commit that crime where it is no bodily injury, then it is a Class 2 felony, and we're going to get to the penalties for that in just a second. Let's talk a little bit about second-degree kidnapping, because that's a lot more common in my practice, which is where, let's see, there we go, second degree. That's where you move them from one place to another, which is the key component, and that is generally a Class 4 felony, and we're going to get to that in just a second too. However, if they are the victim of a sex offense or a robbery, now it's a Class 2 felony, which is, again, the second most serious felony in Colorado. So that's a pretty bad thing to be charged of. So if any of these elements are present, which is in section 4, which is, you're trying to kidnap somebody to sell them, think human bondage, human slavery, that sort of thing. Or if you use a deadly weapon, like a gun or a knife or anything used like a deadly weapon, or if you even represent to somebody that you're armed with a deadly weapon, verbally or otherwise, that causes this to be a Class 3 felony. And that is, again, very, very, very serious. Now, if you'll notice here in this section 4B, I've underlined it in red, a person convicted of second-degree kidnapping is going to be sentenced according to the provisions of 18.1.3406, which is the mandatory, there we go, crime of violence. It is the mandatory prison sentences. So in other words, crime of violence here, you can see kidnapping is the fourth thing. So in other words, any crime against an at-risk person, murder, first or second degree assault, kidnapping is number 4. It's that serious a charge. And when considering that, let's see here. Again, this is the mandatory sentences for violent crimes. This means that you will go to prison, and they will add the extraordinary risk part of the sentence to the presumptive range, which is either 1, 2, or 5 years, depending on what level of charge you're charged with. And at the other end of that addition, they then take that full range, double the maximum to make it even bigger, cut it in half, and then you're going to go to prison for a certain amount of time. So let's look at the actual sentencing ranges for felonies. So normally a Class 4, and we're going to talk a lot about this in a future video when we'll do the math, but a Class 4 felony for kidnapping, you're looking at 5 to 16 years of prison. And for a Class 3 felony, it's 12 to 24. For a Class 2 felony, 24 or 26 to 48, depending on what section it is. So very serious charge, very serious penalties. Kidnapping is one of those crimes against people, which is right up there with murder, assault first degree, all of which will land you into a prison sentence. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. S. And that is the question and answer for today. If you would like your own question answered, don't forget you can put it in the comments below, email me, or tag me on Twitter. And as always, if a police officer is asking you what you have, where you've been, what you know, you always have the right to say, I don't want to talk to you and I want an attorney.